Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. Yesterday, I shared a pretty heavy word with you. I had done some research and I came across an article that said 1 in 3 moms are in crisis. 1 in 3 moms have experienced deep, overwhelming stress to the point of even considering self-harm or suicide. And that is something that resonated so deeply in my spirit because I was that mom for so long. So long I felt that way. And I share very openly about that and how God healed me from that. And if there's anything that I can do or say or bring across your path that will help you to understand that there is hope and that there is a God of the universe that created you for a purpose and he loves you and that you're not alone, then I'm going to continue to keep bringing these words forward. But for whatever reason, God has me going back to that place of where I was at and remembering that because I do believe there's people he's bringing across my path that need to hear this. So as I was doing research, I came across another article that talked about stay-at-home mom syndrome. I didn't even know that was such a thing. As I was going through this article, these are definitely the things that I've studied, the things that I talk about, but they now have a terminology for it. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense, but I just wanted to share this with you. So if you are a stay-at-home mom, or you're a mom of a special needs child, or you're the caregiver, you have the responsibility of caring for your family. Okay. A lot of times people think that stay-at-home moms have it easy. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is one of the hardest things I've ever done. It seems like we have more time because there's other people that have to go and work outside the house and come home and take care of their family. Or my heart goes out for the single mom that's caring for their family and going outside the house and having to work and being the provider as well as the caregiver. I think in every one of those roles, there's hard things they go through. There's different seasons that they go through. But there's a stereotype that I would say that comes around stay-at-home moms, which is something that I've been for the majority of our marriage. Now, a good chunk of our marriage. I also ran a youth outreach, so although I didn't take a paycheck, I was working, 50, 60, 70 hours a week running our youth outreach and caring for, all said and done, almost 1,000 teens, along with raising our 5 children. So I certainly wasn't just a stay-at-home mom, but I wasn't an income earner. So one of the things that comes along with being a stay-at-home mom is the guilt of not being able to provide financially. Or feeling guilty if you spend money that isn't necessarily, as some people say, yours because you didn't earn it. Now, I don't know how you and your spouse work that all out, but there is a guilt that comes along with being a stay-at-home mom on whether you should spend the money or not. And I understand, I've had people tell me throughout the years that you couldn't put a paycheck on everything a stay-at-home mom does. I even had an insurance guy that sat here at our table one time and tried to convince my husband that he couldn't afford me if he were to pay all the different things that a mom does. And in some aspects, I do kind of agree with that. We are the cook, we're the cleaner, we're the maid, we're the taxi driver, we're the teacher. We are all these things, but we kind of do those throughout the day. So I just look at all my responsibilities that I have to do as kind of one big responsibility. But there is something to be said about replacing that. So I do understand what that insurance guy was trying to say. But really what I just want to share with you today is that I want to acknowledge the moms that are doing all that. And whether somebody else, whether it's your spouse or somebody else, tries to minimize that, it doesn't matter. I see it. And God sees it, and he called you to that, and he absolutely is there with you, and he will equip you. He is going to bring you the strength and the resilience that you need to continue on that journey. So many times we think we're alone, and we're not. And that was the biggest part of my feeling feeling hopeless, is I just felt alone in that. And again, this really had a lot to do with people even being all around me. If you feel like somebody doesn't understand you or doesn't see you, it can seem like you're all alone, even though there's a whole bunch of people all around you. So I just want to clear up the stereotype of that because I walked that road, and I don't like when somebody tells me that my role is less important than somebody else's role. I think it's important no matter what it is that God called you to do. If you're a stay-at-home mom, I was a stay-at-home mom and a homeschooling mom. And I ran a youth outreach. Now I am a homeschooling mom and I don't run an outreach, but I'm trying to create a business online or try to minister to other people online. And I'm raising a special needs child. Now my other 4 are out of the house and we have grandchildren, but my role is still 24/7 caregiver. And I take care of 90% of the responsibilities in our house, but my husband is the provider. But there is I want to say a grieving that I go through myself because there's a lot that comes along with that. I think those that get to go outside of the house actually get a little bit of a break from the day-to-day responsibilities, and they get to talk to other people, and there's just a difference in your routine. When you're somebody that stays home every single day and you talk to the same people every single day, especially if that's a child that can't really communicate back with you, you're exhausted. Everything you do is exhausted, especially if you're caring for a child that you've got to take care of their hygiene and feeding them and dressing them and clothing, all those things. It can weigh on you. And so a lot of what I share is, how do you fill yourself up first? Because for so many years I didn't. I was just depleted and I was snapping at everybody. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And, I almost felt justified in doing that. But at the end of the day, I was the one that was hurting, and I was hurting other people because I wasn't healing myself. So I believe that it's our responsibility to heal ourselves, regardless of what caused the pain, the trauma. We don't want to pass that on to our kids. If my kids were watching me stressed out and striving and always complaining about the responsibilities I had, then they're going to end up being like that in their own lives, or the way they raise their kids. And so there was a time where God said, okay, it's time that we need to clean this up. It doesn't matter who hurt you. You need to forgive them. We need to move on from that, and we're going to heal this. And then I started realizing I was not doing the right things either, and I was hurting other people, and he helped me to see people through his eyes, and I was able to appreciate my family and my husband and the people around me and acknowledge them, where before there was such a blind spot to that. So everything that I share here is from that perspective. Right now, you might be watching and you might be thinking, you don't understand my situation, and my husband doesn't support me, or my kids, they don't even thank me for anything that I do, and I am all alone in this. I can tell you that I felt that way. But I'm also here to tell you that that is a mindset shift that can change and radically transform your viewpoint of what you're walking through. And I'm not ever going to minimize how hard it is, or the pain that you're going through, or the hurt that you feel. Jesus died so that we don't have to strive through life. He paid the price for every sin that was ever going to be committed against you, or anything that you ever did. And he did not give that incredible sacrifice so that we could just strive through life being stressed out, being hurt, and in pain. Will we suffer in this life? Yes, absolutely, we're going to suffer. There's no getting out of that. But this life is temporary, and I share that all the time too. If we put everything into this world, then we're probably going to be very disappointed. But if you have your heart set on eternity and on the kingdom that Jesus died for so that we could be a part of that kingdom, then we understand that there is something on the other side of this. And I also have learned that God will allow certain circumstances and trials and situations in our life because it does grow us. It does help us to be better people. But this particular encouragement that I want to leave you today is for that stay-at-home mom that feels like nobody sees her, nobody understands what she's going through. First and foremost, you don't need anybody else to understand it, because God understands it and he's right there with you. But there's a lot of us out there that do understand it. And even if your family doesn't get it and they think that you're less than, or they think that you haven't contributed enough, know that you are enough. Know that you are worthy. Know that you are the daughter of God, that you are beloved, that you are chosen, that you are cherished. You don't need another human being to show you that. You need to believe that deep down in the core of who you are. So when I read statistics that 1 in 3 moms feels like self-harm or suicide, is because they don't know that. They don't understand their true God-given identity. They don't know that there's a God that created them, that loves her. I feel like my role on this planet for the rest of my life is to encourage and impress that upon anybody that's feeling hurt and brokenhearted. But I'm saying especially moms that are dealing with extreme situations, moms that feel like they're in an unsupportive relationship, or maybe they are a single mom and they don't have anybody. They literally don't have anybody. My heart breaks for you, but I also know that God sees you and he's right there with you and he's walking through that. So I'll share a little bit more probably tomorrow about what stay-at-home mom syndrome is. And I really just want to leave you with that. I understand that. I know what that's like to feel isolated. I know what that's like to feel alone. I know what that's like to feel like, all I ever do is put on the same clothes that I had the day before and throw my hair back up in a bun again. And you've got this like angst that you carry, so my husband works in the house, but there was a period of time where he worked out of the house. And I always felt like this, I have to have everything clean before he comes home, and I have to make sure dinner's ready, because if I don't, he's going to come home and think I didn't do anything. Even though I was doing stuff all day long. The thing with being a mom is it's hard to show everything you've done. It's not like you're going to a place of work and you've got a goal and you've got a project and now there's an end goal, and it's day-to-day stuff that most people completely ignore or don't even realize it. I always say, like, there's obviously fairies that must come and make the beds and mop the floors and scrub the toilets and clean the tubs and fill the fridge and cook the food and do the laundry. Must be fairies that do all that. Because so many times we get complacent and we think that doesn't really matter, but that's a job too. If I were to be paid outside of the house to do all those things that I do in my house and somebody paid me because they were working, there'd be a paycheck attached to that. But the stay-at-home mom doesn't get a paycheck that's attached to that. So that does something to your well-being. It does something to your sense of self-worth. And I've had to learn to let go of my self-worth in what I do and put my self-worth in who God is and who God says I am. And that's the message that I want to give across. Whether you ever get paid for what you do or not, whether your spouse ever acknowledges it or not, there is so much value and worth in what you do. And I think that's probably one of the most beautiful, important roles, is to raise up a child. And I made a lot of mistakes with my other children. I'm still making mistakes with Gracie, my special needs child. But God is developing something new in me, and I get to share this every day with somebody else. I get the privilege of sharing my experiences and my transformation with somebody else. Because again, if there's one mom that hears this, whether it's now or 5 years from now, and she feels seen and heard, then I want to say it's worth it. It's worth whatever I have to do to make sure that these messages get out. So today, I'm actually going to go spend a little time in my pool with my daughter and just enjoy her. Because too many times we're serving and we don't enjoy. So I'm going to do that today. And I hope this encouraged you. I'll come back and share a little bit more about stay-at-home mom burnout, because I do think that is something that is very much needing to be addressed. And again, there's lots of people that watch these. There's men, women, all ages. Maybe you're not even raising your children anymore, but you do know somebody that is. And I think in a world that we are in now, so many people are now starting to look for ways that they can stay at home with their child, so they can, they can pull them out of the toxic environments that they're in and just kind of pour into their kids. We have such a hurting world right now, and there's a lot of fear and a lot of angst of allowing your kids to be in certain environments in school and stuff like that. So anyway, that's another subject all in and of itself. So I just pray that this encourages you. Just know that you're not alone. You are seen. You are loved. The God of the universe has a plan for you. It is good. I promise you, it is good. And I love you. And I can't wait for us to be back together again. So have an awesome day. Bye.